2021 February, it rose to 12%, like a 5% increase, which is so damn huge. So to, really bring this into a better viewpoint, I have several suggested ways over here. So here we will be discussing about the ways to mitigate each and every one of them. And yeah, so the first very tool is about communication. The leaders must communicate clearly and consistently, especially during the times of crisis. Like there is no proper tool like a kind of communication, because once you start communicating with me, I will come to know about what is in your mind and what you are going to do and what you will be planning to. And I also can give a suggestion on it, right? So the next thing is about healthcare. There should be implementing emergency protocol, as well as we should also implement effective ways to cure diseases. And the third one is about reduction of unemployment. Unemployment rate is like, sharply increasing. When you see it about 8.32% in August, the leaders must work hard to reduce it. So the third thing is about budgeting. Yes. The main developing, the core, the backbone of a nation is about budgeting. You will have to plan everything over there and you will have to deal accordingly. And the good leader must also, have a clear application of what they're actually talking, and they will have to have a control over the income as well as the expense. So the next thing over here, sorry, my slide is not working. Yeah. So the next thing over here is abolition of poverty. So the poverty rates has been increasing rapidly because currently we are undergoing some kind of lockdown, and yeah, somehow we are freed, but still there is poverty, and the leaders must work forward to mitigate and abolish poverty. Effective laws must be implemented. Like seriously, these days I've been seeing many rapes and many stuffs over there, but there are no several actions that are taking place. So I really, if I was a leader, I would really plan to more effective as well as a strict rule and regulation, and I will implement laws. And thank you so much for listening to this extent. I hope you guys are clear about the question as well as about the barricades. If we all follow the rules and regulations and the things that I've listed out over here, we will surely see India into a better place in this world. Also, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Shatrukshana. Yes, now speakers, and it is open to you, sir and madam. If you have questions in what are the view of Shatrukshana. So what she's saying, her view.
So, JP sir has any questions? Sir, first.
Suresh, let's move forward because time is very short.
Okay, sure.
Later, we'll see how to integrate their points of view.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. So next, I would like to invite Mr. J.V.S. Bhaskar to share his views for the question.
Very happy evening, sir. I'm feeling tremendously happy to be a part of it's my inspiration, JP sir. I'm very happy to be here.
1 minute, J.V.S. Bhaskar, you stand somewhere, okay? Fix your place somewhere, because then we can start.
Yes, sir. I'm very happy to be a part of this wonderful organization, doing great thing. And JP sir is my inspiration since my childhood, because the way he hard work. Today, I'm feeling extremely happy, sir, to be here. And my name is J.V.S. Bhaskar, sir. I'm currently working in a foundation called Inspired Foundation. I have been trained more than 3 lakh students, sir, across Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. And moreover, I'm doing many things. The service in the sense, the women empowerment, many things I'm doing, sir, across Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. And today, the main thing I would like to say that the resources which we have in India, and no other country that have, sir. That is the greatest resources in India. We are feeling so very proud to be an Indian that we're utilizing the resources. If you take any other country in the world, so no other country that much of resources doesn't have, sir. But now the India is going to be developing. After 25 years, we have been 75 years of developing India. Within a span of 100 years, the India will be the number one in the world. No other country can, because that much of calibers we have. There is a great leaders like Prakash Narayana sir is one of the best leader in India, doing a lot of things for the sake of the development of India, and many things that is going to be for positive in India, and that we are very inspirational to any other countries in the world. And the COVID time, that we are inspiration, that namaskar, everything is being followed by other countries of India. I'm very proud to be an Indian, that we have everything is there. And moreover, there is some things that is called the poverty. When you compare with the 1948, that time the colonial rule, right now it is has been the poverty is reduced now. So when you compare the before, now it is somewhat best, because it has been developing the countries. India is now each and every person. Our honorable Prime Minister working on that, and each and everything is going on good, sir. So when you compare with the before, when you compare with the health conditions or poverty, right now it is somewhat better when you compare with the world. And I'm feeling tremendously say that India has been developing now with the great communication skills. In India, the master communicators are there. Even they are working in the America also. See, the America that recruited India in this sense, the people have much the communication skill. The India is an inspiration to all other countries in the world, because we have been developing in each and every field. Right now, when you see about the education, if you take the education, it is so much of best now. So when you compare with it before, the people are educated and each and everything is going on good. And some things may be sort of like a malnutrition, which has been doing good now when you compare with the before. Many things that is going on good, sir, in the sense that we have inequality is there. There is many things in the past also that has been implementing now. Each and every person of India, like Jayaprakash Narayan sir is working for the development of India, J.D. Lakshminarayana sir. Each and every great leaders are working for the development of India. And I can proudly say that India have the master communicator to develop in India. And upcoming days, I'm very proudly say that, I'm very privileged to say that, I'm very proud to be an Indian. India will be number one in among all other countries, because it's an inspirational. In the COVID time, we have donated many things to other countries, or whatever, the vaccination or whatever it may be. That we are inspirational to each and every country. Even our prime minister, sir, and no other country can do the sacrifice. But China is a country which made the COVID. That is an unfortunate thing to us. But as an India, we're having a lot of good human beings are there. We have a lot of respect is there, that we are promoting each and everything to other countries. That some barricades are there. Right now, has been doing, everything has been implementing now. The poverty is reducing, and everything has been implementing now. I'm proudly say that it is a common, when you compare with the other countries, that India are placing a main role in each and everything. So each and every person is working day and night for the sake of the government system of India is an absolutely good. That's great things is going on. And then our many things in India is going on good. And I'm very happy to be said that. And after the 100 years, we have got 75 years of got the population. 75 years, we got the freedom, 75 years. And after India, after 25 years, became the number one, and we'll get a celebration of success. No more doubt in that. We have overcoming each and everything, that panic things like the poverty, or reducing each and everything. We're eradicating the poverty. So many women are not, in the sense they are not having any equality. Now, if you take each and every woman working in Indian Parliament is working, and wherever, each and every place the women are working, there is no inequality. Each and everyone is working. Like they are working in the aircraft, they are working in each and every place that with equal to the man. So in before 1948 or before colonial rule, we have faced a lot of problems that
right now, be specific because we have less time. So
yes, sir. I will conclude. So by the conclusion point is, now I'm very happy to privilege to say that that India has been the number one in the country. We have the master communicators to develop in India, like Jayaprakash Narayan sir is working the great for the sake of the selflessly is working as an inspirational to me. and I want to become an I.A.S. officer. I'm taking him as an inspiration. I want to see my country developed. Thank you so much, sir, for giving such a wonderful joint. And I want to see India in a developed country within a span of 25 years. We'll celebrate 100 years of the great success of India, and India must be an inspiration and role model to all other countries in the world. Thank you so much, sir, once again for giving me such a wonderful chance, and I'm very proud to be in India. And definitely, we all work together to lead a best nation in the world. No other country can replace our country. We have that much of resources, we have that much of natural resources, and no other country that have. So that is the greatness of things. Thank you so much, sir, once again for giving me such a wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, J.S. Bhaskar. Now I would like to invite Mr. Keshav Jha. So Keshav Jha, you can go ahead with very brief of intro and your views.
आप सभी को नमस्ते। मेरा नाम केशव झा है। मैं मुख्यतः बिहार का रहने वाला हूं, किंतु पढ़ाई के सिलसिले में मैं फिलहाल मुंबई में रह रहा हूं। मैं किशनचंद चेलाराम महाविद्यालय से पत्रकारिता कर रहा हूं। आज पटल पर जो प्रश्न रखा गया है कि कौन-कौन सी मुख्य ऐसी केंद्र बिंदु हैं जिनके कारण हमारे भारत का जो विकास है रुक रहा है और जो हमारे भारत में रिसोर्सेस है उनमें एक बाधा है, तो इस प्रश्न का उत्तर दूं उससे पहले मैं आपको रामायण युग में ले जाना चाहूंगा। हमने थोड़े दिन पहले विजयादशमी का त्योहार मनाया। किस प्रकार भगवान राम ने रावण को मार डाला था ये हम सबको विदित है। लेकिन क्या आप जानते हैं कि भगवान राम के जीतने के पीछे का और रावण के हारने के पीछे का मुख्य कारण क्या था? हाँ, धर्म अधर्म तो था ही, लेकिन एक और बात थी जो कहीं ना कहीं उनके जीत और हार के बीच में फासला का कार्य किया था। भगवान राम ऐसे व्यक्ति थे जिन्होंने सबको साथ लेकर चला था। उनके दल में वानर थे, मनुष्य थे, रीछ थे, जिनको घर से निकाल दिया गया वैसे थे, जिनसे राजपाट छीन लिया गया वैसे लोग थे। उन्होंने सबको समान रखा, सबके साथ चले वो। और एक और रावण था जिसने अपने असगे भाई को घर से निकाल दिया था, जिसकी पत्नी बार बार कहती रही, जिसका बेटा अंत में कह दिया कि आप गलत कर रहे हो, जिसके भाई कुंभकर्ण ने कहा गलत कर रहे हो, इन सब के विरुद्ध जाकर उसने गलत किया। मतलब उसके परिवार के लोग भी उसके साथ नहीं। कहने का मतलब ये है सिर्फ कि अगर आप सभी को साथ लेकर चलते हैं तो आप विकास कर पाएंगे, आप सफल हो पाएंगे। और अगर आप दूसरों को छोड़ देंगे पीछे, दूसरों के साथ नहीं चलेंगे, तब आप विकास नहीं कर पाएंगे। हमारा भारत देश, जैसे कि सभी लोगों ने कहा, बहुत सारे रिसोर्सेस हैं, लेकिन एक चीज जो कहीं ना कहीं खटकती है मुझे, वो है आज भी लोगों के मन में धर्म के नाम पर झगड़ा करना। जब तक हम धर्म के नाम पर बंटते रहेंगे तब तक हमारे देश का विकास नहीं हो सकता है। कैसे होगा? जब मैं हिंदू हूं, तुम मुसलमान हो, तुम सिख हो, तुम ईसाई हो, जैन हो, बौद्ध हो, पता नहीं क्या क्या हो, इन सब झमेलों में जब तक हम पड़े रहेंगे तब तक मैं भारतीय हूं कौन कहेगा? और जब तक मैं भारतीय हूं कहने वाला कोई नहीं होगा तब तक इस देश का विकास संभव नहीं है। और जो लोग धर्म के नाम पर झगड़ा करते हैं ना, उन लोगों ने धर्म को पढ़ा ही नहीं होता है, वरना किसी भी धर्म में ऐसा नहीं कहा गया है कि तुम मेरे लिए झगड़ा करो, तुम मेरे लिए झगड़ा करो और जाति के नाम पर, संप्रदाय के नाम पर, धर्म के नाम पर भेदभाव करो। तो इस समस्या को सुधार कैसे सकते हैं? देखिए, एक जो बच्चे का मन होता है ना, वो कोरे कागज की तरह होता है, सफेद कागज की तरह होता है। उस कागज पर वही रंग भर सकता है जो रंग हम चाहेंगे। तो क्यों ना हम बच्चे के मन में बचपन से ही वास्तविक धर्म क्या है ये सिखाए। शिक्षा के बिना ये सब असंभव है। तो मेरा मायना ये एक ही मैं सुझाव दूंगा, मैं सिर्फ ये सुझाव देना चाहूंगा कि बच्चों के सिलेबस में, बिल्कुल बच्चों के सिलेबस में रामायण, महाभारत, कुरान शरीफ, होली बाइबल, गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब, बाकी जो धर्म ग्रंथ है वो सबका समावेश किया जाए, ताकि उनको समझ में आएगा कि जो हमारा वास्तविक धर्म क्या कहता है कि लोगों को साथ लेकर के चलो, किसी के साथ भेदभाव का व्यवहार ना करो। और जब हमारे बच्चे शिक्षित होंगे, मतलब हमारी आने वाली युवा पीढ़ी, आने वाला जनरेशन शिक्षित होगा, और जब ऐसा हो गया तो अगर शिक्षित होंगे हम, हमको पता होगा वास्तविक धर्म क्या है, जब हम आपस में नहीं लड़ेंगे, और जब आपस में नहीं लड़ेंगे, विकास के लिए काम करेंगे, तो कोई भी बड़ा मुद्दा हमारे लिए बहुत ही छोटा साबित होगा और विकास के कदम हमारे लिए अपने आप सफल होते जाएंगे। एक और छोटा सा मुद्दा है, थोड़े दिन पहले ग्लोबल हंगर इंडेक्स आया, जिसमें दुख की बात है भारत 101वें रैंक पे था। मतलब आज भी हमारे देश में जो बच्चे हैं वो 5 साल से पहले मर जाते हैं। बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं जिनको कुपोषण के शिकार है, जो बच्चे, तो ये कहीं ना कहीं सबसे बड़ी समस्या है, क्योंकि आने वाली युवा पीढ़ी जब स्वस्थ नहीं रहेगी तो इस भारत देश को लेकर के कौन चलेगा। तो इसके लिए मेरा सुझाव है कि जो मिड डे मील था बहुत ही अच्छा तरीका था, लेकिन उसको और सुधारा जा सकता है। बच्चा जब तक 5 साल का नहीं होता है, 5 साल के बाद ही स्कूल में जाता है, तब उसे मिड डे प्राप्त होता है। तो इसके लिए कहीं ना कहीं जो गरीब बच्चे हैं, जो बीपीएल के नीचे है, वहां के जो बच्चे हैं उनके लिए कुछ, उनको राशन मिलता है, चावल दाल मिलता है, लेकिन जो बाकी हो गए, जो दूध हो गए या फिर जो अलग फल फ्रूट हो गए, ये सब उनको प्राप्त नहीं होता है। तो ये सब अगर उनके लिए दिलवा दिया जाए तो एक बहुत बड़ा कदम होगा। साथ ही में मिड डे मील में हम लोग आए दिन सुनते रहते हैं किसी खाने में छिपकली निकली है, कहीं बासी खाने का प्रयोग किया जाता है। हमने सभी देखा है, एक छोटी सी फिल्म बनी थी बिट्टू, आप लोगों के पास अगर समय होगा देखिएगा उस फिल्म को, किस तरह से गलत दवाई के कारण, गलत तेल के कारण बच्चों की मृत्यु हो जाती है। तो इन सभी हालात में सुधार कर लेंगे हम, तो हमारा देश अपने आप आगे बढ़ जाएगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप लोगों का मुझे सुनने के लिए, और इस प्लेटफॉर्म को देने के लिए भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और मैं बिल्कुल आप सभी से आप सभी से चाहता हूं कि आप सभी मुझे प्रश्न करें, मैं आप सभी के प्रश्न का उत्तर देने के लिए बहुत बहुत ही कृतज्ञ रहूंगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Yeah, thank you, Keshav, for your sharing your views in very clear manner. Yeah, now I would like to invite V. Brahant from Tamil Nadu, so to share his views regarding the topic what we are discussing now.
So, good evening one and all. I'm V. Brahant of class 9th from Kendra Vidyalaya, I.A.S, Chennai, here to share my views on the question asked. So, firstly, among the developing countries in the world, India marks itself as being one of the most fastest developing economies in the world. And of course, despite being a newly industrialized nation, as everyone knows, India continues to face challenges of overpopulation, poor water and sanitation, and even at last, low adult literacy rates. These problems are going to be addressed in my talk, along with the policy recommendations for India to overcome these challenges. So, as everyone knows, in order to overcome these challenges and to become a developed country, they're too hard to overcome. But Indians, as everyone knows, are always known for civilizing new things. So, population. One of the most pressing problems of India is currently facing its total population size and growth. So India's population in 2010 was 1.2 billion, and it is predicted to exceed about 1.63 billion by the year 2050. And do you know what? Even China's estimated population by 2050 is just about 1.44 billion. But everyone thinks that I'm just going to say that population growth is the most important problem that India faces. But I'm just not going to talk about that. Now, I would like to say that low adult literacy rates is one of the most suppressing problems of India. But why is it so? And I would also like to explain the reasons behind that. And of course, the most important reasons still. So, according to the World Bank data, in the year 2006, India's adult literacy rate was about 62.75%. And it was among the bottom group of middle income countries. And we were with Pakistan at that time because Pakistan's adult literacy rate was just about 54.15%. But at that time, just think of China in the year 2006. China already had an adult literacy rate of about 93%. And now, in the year 2020, just a year before, India had the adult literacy rate of 77.7%. Just think of how much more China has been developed than India, even in the previous year. So I would like to just remind everyone of another reason. That is, everyone thinks the development in the mining industry, primary sector, secondary sector, etc., are very much important for the development of a country. But of course, everyone have to get remembered of one particular scenario. That is, we humans were the one who created all these things. the political parties, the elections, etc. Everything was created by the human resource. And of course, development of the human resource is very much important. And to develop humans, we require health and education. And how can we develop it? And of course, developing literacy rates in India is very much responsible for that. Now, I would like to give some policy recommendations for India to just develop literacy rates in India. Now, how to mitigate it? Firstly, India should implement effective legislation on the teacher and the teacher retention issue in order to meet the demands for primary and secondary teachers in, of course, rural as well as urban areas. In addition, the Indian government should meet the demand and also increase the prestige attached to the teaching profession. Why is it so? Because people think that teaching profession is not good to them, because people think that teachers don't have that much prestige. And besides encouraging children to go to school, the government should make sure that they provide good health and treatment to children, which eventually helps improve the literacy rates of India. But last, everyone thinks that why did they even leave leadership? But everyone should be remembered of one thing. Who are good leaders? Good leaders are the people who are better literates than everyone. But how can we become better literates? Not just be studying the books that we have in schools, etc. The good leaders, as we know, like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, are the ones who have better general knowledge. And that also belongs to the literacies of India, which India doesn't even consider. So thus, literacy rates of India should not only depend upon the school education, it should also depend upon how they behave in public, the socioeconomic status of that particular person, etc. I hope my talk was informative. Thank you all.
Thank you, Prakash. And yeah, great. I have given very brief in 2 to 3 points exactly what as a leader or in point of view how we are going to deal with that. So that's good. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Kiran Kumar. No.
Yeah, good evening, sir, and good evening, JB sir and ma'am. I'm very happy to be here with you all to share my points. Sir, many of the people says that India is a young country because India is having the not many member of youth population. And ours is a developing country since the last, I have studied in the 7th class that India is a developing country. And still I'm studying that India is a developing country. So this country should be transformed from developing to developed. It happens only when the youth take participation in this political system. And this political system is leading the country. And one more point is that education system is the leading the country. If these two changes, if the education system and the political system changes, then I believe that this transformation from developing country to the developed country may happen. And great personalities like JP sir and JD sir and the other few personalities, if they participate in this election system or the political system, then the youngsters like us can participate and can work with this and transform this from developing to developed. And the main things are, if we see the political system, if we take this political system as a point, in this political system, most of the people are having the previous family background as from their political family background, or else the person's having the money. And now, if we see the politics in India, the politics are running behind the alcohol, caste, religion, and now anywhere you go, sir, the elections are happening only on these 3 criteria. And I remember the words of JP sir, the leaders announces the schemes that we are going to give this many amount of rupees, and we are going to give these schemes, we are going to give you some schemes like rice, or they are offering some fake schemes. And I remember the words said by the JP sir that they are not offering the schemes from their money, from where they are granting, that people have to think about this, from where they are offering and from where they are getting the money to offer these schemes. And I also remember the words of JD sir. JD sir says that the development happens only if it happens from the ground level. In our country, most of the parts we have Gram Panchayats. If the development of the Gram Panchayats happen, then only the nation will be developed. But most of the people think if Hyderabad develops, or if Mumbai develops, or if Bangalore develops, or if New Delhi develops, then the country will be developed. I believe that, sir, if only Gram Panchayat, starting from the Gram Panchayat till the state, if this development happens, then only the development of the country will happen. And I strongly believe, sir, the young personalities, or the personalities like the Vision 2020 set by the APJ Abdul Kalam sir. But I remember that the words said by Abdul Kalam sir, I thought that Vision 2020 means the country will be developed by 2020. But till now we are in 2021, but that still we are seeing the developing nation only. And sir, as I am a member of Zero Budget Politics, I request, behalf of this platform, I request central government of India, just bring a GO on zero budget politics. Announce this zero budget politics from Gram Panchayat elections till the parliament elections. Then the development of the nations happen. Because sir, nowadays the person who are into this political system, they are just investing the money and they are getting the returns. Till this happens, there will be no development. We can't see the development, sir. And this should be stopped and this should be changed. And this will happen only the youngsters like us participate in the elections. And we also should be strictly prohibited to this spending a lot of money in the elections. And then only the development of the nation will happen, sir. And this will be happening I hope that we are very happy to work with JP sir and JD sir and in the Sagarva Bharath Foundation and along with Zero Budget Politics to work for the nation and bring this developed country and have a bright future for the young generation, sir. So I want to thank Connected Indian and Zero Budget Politics for giving this great opportunity, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kiran. Wonderful sharing of your experiences as well. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I would like to invite Anna Dominic from Kerala.
Hello, am I visible and clear?
Yeah, you are clear.
Yeah.
Don't shake your.
My name is Anna Dominic, and I am currently pursuing my second year BA History.
Yeah, proceed. It's okay.
Okay, sorry. Now currently I am pursuing second year BA History from Alfonso. So from the land of lagoons, backwaters, Onam, as you all know, the God's own country, Kerala. And I would like to take the topic which India faces is nothing else than our environment problem. As we all know that India is rich in its environmental potential, but still we are lacking it. In the latest data shows that the Kanpur city is the highest polluted capital of the world. That means though we are developing, as we all know that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Skill India mission, Digital India, etc., all are there to promote our development area, but still we are lacking behind mainly in the environmental issue. My father used to tell me that when he was young, there was saying that when years pass, they want to buy bottled water, and now it has become the reality. And now we are hearing that for oxygen, we want to buy from the market as we are buying bottled waters now. And in the past years, it has the reality. In Delhi, for getting pure oxygen, 15 minutes, I think 600 something rupees we want to pay. So if I am the leader, I will first take my step for the solution for mitigating the environmental problem. And everything is related. Without environment, without the potential of environment rich, nothing. We develop many concrete buildings, nothing else is going to happen. The data are showing that by 2030, India will overcome China, not only in population, but also in development. And data are also showing that it will be somewhat competitive to USA, America's development area. So that means India is somewhat, what we can say, very well in its technological area, but if our environment is like this thriving, like this going back, our condition, the Indians' condition will be very, very poor. So if I become the leader, any prime minister or president of our India, I will first try to tackle why this is happening. First, I want to know what is the problem. Though there are many good leaders in the current administrative bureaucratic scenario, there are many good measures from the government's side, many policies and programs from the village level itself to protect our environment. Then why still India is going back in this environmental issue? So I will first try to tackle it. Then I will find the issues. Then I will try to adopt the modern nations. As we all know that China, Japan, etc., all these are developed countries. But how they tackle this environmental issue, I will try to adopt their models. And if it is adaptable to our scenario, then I will take the next step. Then also there are many consequences like this. One leader can't solve this 137 crore people's problem. 137 crore people should take the responsibility. Not one Narendra Modi or one president of India can't do anything. So for that, I need the support of my followers. So I will take that steps. Why people are not at all aware or not at all giving the importance to protect our environment. I will try to convince them that if the stage is going to like this, it will be costing a very well, which can't cost, I think, which can't be cost, which we can't pay. Such huge loss will be going to happen. And I will try to convince them by showing the other nations model who only concentrated on development by avoiding the environment, and try to come back to my way and knowing the dangerous situation. And next, I will take the modern steps, like as we all know that Miyawaki steps for building a forest just in 10 or 15 years span of years, like this Miyawaki forest or something like that in a developed country with a short period of time, with a short space, how we can create a more environmental rich country. Like the steps I will try to adopt. And the next step will be, I want to make this people aware or make this people willing. For that, I will take some policies or programs for encouraging them, like in competitions or those who are publicly doing this environmental protection activities, rewarding them so that others also take it as a model, others also take it as a challenge, like that. So it will be my steps. If I'm leader, first I will tackle the problem. Then what are its barriers which are restricting our environment's future growth? Who are that cruel people who are mitigating this problem from us? Then I will take the steps by adopting model developed countries like Japan, China, then adopt it in our country. If it is suitable, then I guess that it will be in a much better way. Like that Muhammad Iqbal sang years before, Sare Jaham se acha Hindu sitan hamara. Still, we are lacking it. We are going to Mars exploration, Mars settlement, etc. But at first, we want to create our own Earth a better place. Otherwise, if we go to Mars, there also we will be going to do the same thing. So if I'm a leader, I will try to do this from the root level itself to the top level. Thanks.
Thank you, Nadami. Thanks for your views. Yeah. Now, I would like to invite Isatpreet Singh from Punjab.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you please confirm that whether my audio and video are clear?
Yeah, if you are clear, you can proceed.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Ishpreet Singh, a second-year BSMS student of Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Mohali. I feel privileged and honored to share my thoughts with you all. The given topic to me was, what are the pain points in India working as misleading resources or barricades for the development, and how will I be going to mitigate any one of them to reach the needy and sustainable development of India? If I were the policymaker, I would like to keep these points in my mind. Education has become competition-ridden and somehow its quality is being compromised. Nowadays, educated heads tend to dominate in the society. Consequently, we have numberless ideas, but we lack a sympathetic heart as well as a skillful hand. Human behavior and attitude plays a decisive role in exploring the possibilities of sustainable progress. Real education must be reflected in our thought and action, blended with fellow feeling for sustainable all-round development. The tragedy is that the education which is instrumental in converting human beings into reliable human resources is now literacy oriented rather than being learning oriented. Truly speaking, education, a great resource and resource creator, is now confined to being literate and have a job instead of exploring the potentials and grabbing the opportunity of proving and improving our worth. Government policies and funds allocations on education reflects the indifference of our policymakers in this direction. Despite celebrating 75th Independence Day, still a lot is to be done in the field of improving the access to universal quality education, strengthening the nation. A lion's share of the national budget must be spent on making the people well educated, enlightened, and responsible because education is the only tested and trusted resource of revolutionizing the society, purifying our minds. Inclusive education is the need of the hour, and marginal sections of the society must be given an opportunity to come in the mainstream to avoid any unrest and resentment. I personally think that right to quality education is as important as right to life because education helps us explore our potential and contribute to the nation building and national development, ensuring national integration. Despite being the largest democracy in the world, we are far away from the goal of educating the masses. The data released by the government shows that about 88 crore people out of 140 crore population are provided free ration, which shows that we are still unable to make even two-thirds of our population capable enough to earn their living. Education must be vocalized and updated. Our focus is on improving the enrollment, which is just a beginning, not the target. Actually, through education, we must make the learner aware of identifying his expected role towards the promotion of equality, liberty, and fraternity. No doubt, there are many bottlenecks such as large population, limited resources, weak political will, conservatism, gender bias, lack of vision, lack of mass mobilization, and poor commitment. But a wise and timely implementable decision can make a difference. There must be a wise planning of prioritizing our needs in the context of proper utilization of limited resources. Timely review and reforms in education policy is must to make it really helpful in creating new resources, preserving the available ones. But the reality in our country is otherwise. We are busy in making experiments in the field in the name of improving our education system. And the worst thing is that bureaucrats, not the educationists, are the policymakers. National Education Policy 1986 is now replaced with new policy in 2020 after a long gap of 34 years. We need to evaluate and revamp it on daily basis in order to ensure that it meets all the requirements of present time and yield skilled, productive, and aware citizens. If we really want to contribute towards nation building, educating marginalized sections of our society is necessary so that their access to natural as well as man-made resources can be justified and reasonable. Equal opportunities are being provided, but to make them eligible to access them is important. Our target shouldn't only be to make a person able to earn his living twice a day, but also to make him capable enough so that he can contribute to national development. He feels secured from financial side so that he can be a creative and productive person on this planet, as it's difficult to be creative without being financially secured. Another bottleneck is lack of evaluation. Therefore, the wastage is much higher in comparison to utilization. Many aren't honest to their jobs. Hence, the expected progress isn't achieved. No such platform is available where the people can express their views and grievances without any hesitation. These are the bottlenecks between the bureaucracy and the actual workers. There's many a slip twixt the cup and the lip. We don't have proper policies, long-term vision, and allocation of limited resources in a justifiable way. Casteism, nepotism, corruption, misuse of power, power politics, unjustified resource distribution are some other barricades for the development. Due to these, people find it difficult to associate themselves with the system. Democracy hasn't remained for the people, of the people, by the people, but has become for the elite, of the elite, by the elite. Development of physical resources like widening of roads, manufacturing expensive items, etc. is of no use if human resource isn't developing. People have come in lower class from middle class. After COVID waves, middle class has been contracted and lower class expanded, which means that living standard of people is falling. A development can be sustainable only if it can survive and tolerate these natural jerks. Education serves as a backbone to the development of human resources. Why do we need to raise slogans such as save water, save electricity, conserve natural resources? Let's educate the masses in the real sense. Had we educated people, they would have understood that natural resources couldn't be recycled. They'll exhaust one day or the other. They'll consume them wisely. They would understand that we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. We have borrowed it from our children. We are the trustees of the natural resources. We need to pass these resources to them. I thank Sagarva Bharath Foundation for providing me the opportunity to present my views on such insightful topic and all of you to listen attentively to my views.
Thank you, Shitpreet Singh, for your views. Yeah. Now, let's make it very clear. Okay, take it's a limited time we have, so I would like to invite now Prajwalita Neo from Assam. So Prajwalita Neo, are you there? Yeah.
A very good evening to one and all. I am Prajwalita Neo, currently pursuing BSc Honours in Assam Agriculture University, Jorhat, Assam. So what I want to highlight is that that United Nations has divided country into three categories, that is developed, underdeveloped, and then comes the developing country. And India is a developing country, and it's actually a question that should come in our mind. Actually, that must come in our mind, that even after so many years of independence, why India is still a developing country? Why the vision, the India Vision 2020 is still not accomplished? So what I found the reason is overgrowing population. It is because the resources like food grains or like land, oil, electricity, etc., are very limited, or they are produced sufficiently. They're produced sufficiently to to support a certain amount of population. When the population growth is increased, that means the utilization of resources are also increases, and the use of resources are increasing at a very increasing rate, which is not equal with the recovery rate of the resources. And that's why when the supply is not sufficient, it's led to unemployment and malnutrition and poverty. So what I can suggest in that condition, like how we can mitigate the growth of population, we can't directly mitigate this problem. The first solution that I want to put forward is education. Like we need to teach everyone that how a population is directly related to resource, the use of resources. Then again, there comes the role of agriculture. Like agriculture is a sector which has contributed positively even under this pandemic condition, and it will help us. It will help us to secure the food security of this huge population. So the second point that I want to highlight is regarding the coordination among the different ministries. To manage such a huge population, it is very necessary that there should be a proper coordination, proper planning, and proper organization that coordinate among each other. For example, when we laid a road, we again excavate that road for building towers for electricity. Then again we excavate that road for building pipelines. So what that costs? That actually costs lots of waste of money. And that money, if we have in our hand, we can use for development of infrastructure, or we can use for development of our country. But instead of that, we're wasting that money by exhibiting the same rules 3 times. So that should be mitigated by recently a scheme has launched, that is like Gati Shakti, and where different 16 crucial ministry will be coordinating together to build a country. So that is the problem which is right now mitigating. My last solution, like my last problem is something that is responsible of a citizen. That the 2 problems that I have mentioned, it's something that we can mitigate through laws, rules, or regulation, or by forming schemes. But the last thing that I want to mention is a responsibility of citizen. That should come from our inside. That how we keep our room, our home clean. It's our responsibility. We need to think that this country is also our home. We need to take some time. We need to take some time to look over this country. We need to treat the public property rightly, the same way that we treat our private properties. So if we also treat the limited resources in a good way, then there must not be any scarcity. So with this, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prajwal. And finally, we have Rajini B. Karthik from Karnataka.
Hi everyone, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Proceed.
This is Rajni BK from Kolar, Karnataka. The main pain points of our country, which are working as a barricades for the development of our country, are there are many rules and regulations given. There are many rules and regulations, acts, policies given by our country, but we the Indians are not following rules and regulations exactly, correctly, and properly. For example, Child Labor Act. According to Child Labor Act, no child below 14 years should work in any place. But we see the children below 14 years working in garages, workshops, hotels, and many other places. There's a rule that every child should be studied until 7th standard. But if the rule is changed that every student should be studied up to 2nd PUC, it would be effective. In India, the politicians such as Chief Minister and Prime Minister does not have any term condition that they can become the leader for only 2 times. If we make a rule that they can become only 2 times or 3 times, the other people in our country.
Hey, hello everyone.
Get
So
the chance.
today we will be hosting. I am Aisha Trukshana, currently doing my cybersecurity BSc over here. So I'm from the Media and Communication Department. So today we will be having our live with Tarun Bhagwan. I have invited him. And how are you guys?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Some other voice is coming here.
Yeah, now it is clear. You can proceed. Yeah.
The politicians.
Yeah, proceed.
Can I speak, sir?
Yeah, proceed.
The politicians in India, such as Prime Minister and Chief Minister, does not have any term condition. I mean that they can become a Chief Minister and Prime Minister many times. But if there is a rule that they can become only twice or thrice, the other people in India can get a chance to become the Chief Minister, and we can see how they are going to develop our country. India should be 100% digital country. There should not be any currency. Then India can reach to heights. Bribe. There is a bribe in our country in every field and every office. If that bribe is controlled, then we can easily become a developed country. The literacy rate in India should be increased. The literacy rate in our state, in Kerala state, is very good. In the same way, all the people in India should be educated. The literacy should be increased to the greater extent. These are few pain points of our country, which are working as a barricades for our country. Now coming to the solution, if I say that what I would give a solution for Child Labor Act is that if I see any child below 14 years working in some place, I would go near him and say that please go to school and get well educated. If you have any poverty problem, go to government school. I will help you in financial for the government school. Even my friends will help you for your friends. So please get well educated. You study until 4 o'clock. After 4 o'clock, you can come here and work. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajni, for your sharing your views. Yeah. So we have heard from different kind of their vision and how they are going to mitigate. So we have actually a lot of questions, I can say, after hearing all these things. So let us, speakers take chance now. They can guide you all in a better way, to have a focus on your vision, what you have shared till now. Yeah. So now I would like to invite JB sir for today.
Friends, first of all, I must congratulate Sagarva Bharath Foundation, all of you, all 9 of you. The fact that you are at your young age deeply interested in what's happening in society and the country, going well beyond your personal circumstances itself is a great victory. All of you are winners. All of you are potential leaders, because what is leadership? It's about looking for the collective, not merely taking care of yourself. You must take care of yourself and your family, but how do you fulfill the collective needs of the community? How do you bring people together, as many of you have said, across caste, region, religion, and language? And how do you prioritize? How do you use limited resources for the larger public good? How do you reconcile differences harmoniously? And how do you promote sensible policies that generate the best outcomes? You're all thinking on these lines. I'm really proud of you. I congratulate you. I thought the best way is, there are some recurrent themes in your presentations, each of you. I will pick up 1 or 2, and I'm sure Ms. Kaumudi has a lot more to say. I'll leave it to her then. On many issues, you are right, but no, some things are said repeatedly in the country. We believe them as absolute truths. You're all bright young people, very thoughtful people. I would like you to look at these things much more carefully. One thing said by many of you is, India is very rich in resources. Not true. We have only 2.5% of the world's land mass, with about 17% of the world's population, about 18% of the world's population. In minerals, we are very poor in non-ferrous minerals. Iron and other iron-like minerals, we are very, very rich. But all other minerals, we are actually poor compared to the rest of the world. Oil and gas, we hardly have anything. I can go on and on. When we talk about these issues, we must be factually accurate, and we must understand the reality of the situation. But the good fortune is, we live in an age when the physical resources are less and less important. They're important, but not as important as they were, say, 100 years ago. Today, because your brain power, how do you harness the resources and add value? That is more important than how many physical resources you have. That's why if you notice world over, the commodities, whether agricultural products or minerals, if you take a long-term trajectory, their price is globally coming down at fixed prices. Whereas where human intellect, innovation, they are required, their price is going up. Services, their value is going up wherever they add value. But the fact is, we are not very strong in resources. The second thing I want you to look at very carefully, almost everybody, every one of you mentioned population is a huge problem. Undoubtedly, it's a huge problem, because after all, if you have only 2.5% of the land mass, but we have about 18% of the population of the world, obviously we have a huge problem. But there are 2 aspects to this I want you to all understand carefully. One, it's already there. We can only think of what to do now to contain population. What is there cannot be reversed. You cannot make 140 crores. Today we have 139 crores population. We cannot make 139 crores into, let's say, 50 crores because you give an order today. It's there. So how do you maximize the value? If the quite a few of you, I'm very happy to note, you focused a great deal on quality of education. If actually we make our people productive members of society through quality education, not merely degrees and certificates, but genuine quality education and quality healthcare without any burden on the families, financial burden on the families, or the government school, private school, doesn't matter what it is, but the government must take care. And it's possible. There's no time to go into details, but it's possible to do both these things with our resources. Then population actually is an asset. And a productive population with incomes also generates demand for goods and services. Therefore, they also promote economic growth. But an underutilized population, the population whose brains are not utilized, as you all said very rightly, is the greatest sin in the world. Unfulfilled potential is the greatest sin. Because God or nature gave us a lot of potential, a lot of ability. But we as a society have not done enough to fulfill that potential, to bring out that ability, to make us productive human beings. That is a tragedy. And India has the largest number of people with unfulfilled potential. The second part of population is, happily, we see the end of the tunnel. When we were kids of your age, we were terrified of population growth. It was a monstrous thing. But today, those of you who are not familiar, I want you to realize, in most parts of India, take Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Goa, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Delhi, Punjab, even Orissa, a poor state, most parts of India, population has already come down to what is called subsistence level or stabilization level. Without going into details, if a mother during her reproductive lifetime gives birth to 2.1 children on average, obviously each mother cannot give birth to 2.1, but average I'm talking about. Then after some time, the population will remain constant, stable. In all these states I mentioned, including Jammu and Kashmir, the population, the fertility rates, the number of children born to a mother during a reproductive cycle is fewer than 2.1. Many states 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. That means after some years, population actually will decline in these states. The other states, notably Bihar and UP and a few other states, it is still about 2.1. But the good news is, in every part of India, it is declining. In every group, Hindu, Muslim, rich, poor, upper caste, lower caste, in every group, it is declining. So it's only a matter of time. Some states or some groups are a little behind the other groups, but the trajectory is right. Somebody said 160 crores, 1.6 billion. You're right. That is where we will peak. In the next 20-30 years, India will reach about 160 crores. Then it will stabilize there and slowly start falling. So population is an issue. It is already there. We have to deal with that. But luckily, the future is now secured, and population, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I want you to understand that. The third one, many of you focused on education. Some of you with great understanding and insights. I'm proud of you. It is incredibly important. If there's one area where India has done poorly, terribly poorly, it is education and healthcare. But it's not so much because we're not spending money. Some of you said a lot more money needs to be spent. Of course, yes, more money is welcome. But the real problem of education is not money. We are spending now 4.3% of GDP on education in the country. Now, 4.3% of GDP is a little less than what many rich countries spend. They spend about typically 6%. But remember, the bulk of the kids in India go to private schools and private colleges. Even poor parents are spending money disproportionate to their income out of pocket to give their children a head start. And the 4.3% the government is spending is mostly for government schools and government colleges alone, where only 50% of the kids are going. So it's not more money. You take Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, on an average for a school child, 85,000 rupees is being spent per year at school level by the government. It's a lot of money. More need not be spent. The money we are spending, we must make it get results, not merely passes and certificates, but ability, outcomes. The person must be productive, capable of dealing with the world as a good citizen, as a good producer, as a good thinker, as a good human being. We are failing spectacularly. There are ways of doing it because the demand is very strong. Government is spending money. The society cares. Parents are sacrificing a great deal for their children's future. So we only have a few things to be set right. Some of you, one of you at least mentioned that. We have a very soulless examination. Mugging, rote learning, mass copying, and inflated grades, 99%, 98%, high cutoff marks, all this is rubbish, most of it. We must have education which is meaningful. Education which actually brings out our abilities. That means understanding the concepts, not mugging up, applying the concepts for real problem solving in mathematics or anything, ability to arrive at reasonable conclusions from given data, that is science and logic, and ability to communicate clearly and effectively. Some of you spoke so beautifully. So, ability to communicate lucidly, clearly. Your ideas, you must communicate, you must understand the other person's ideas. If you judge by the standard, our education is horribly bad. We are among the worst in the world. Worst in the world. But we can do a lot to improve. The education policy that came out last year is a sound policy. But a policy is only as good as it is actually applied. All of us, the students, the teachers, the parents, the society at large, the managements, the state governments, the union government, private managements, all of us together must work to make education much better. And we can make it much better in a short time because, as I said, the demand side is very, very strong. I don't want to take too much time. I only wanted to give you a flavor of some of the things that you're all agitated about, to think deeply, to be a part of the solution. But let me finally say, leadership is not about the position you occupy. Just because you happen to be a collector of a district, or a minister, or a chief minister, or a prime minister, or MP, or MLA, that doesn't mean you're a leader. Leadership is much more than that. It's not about a position. It's about bringing harmony, as somebody said. It's about making us think collectively, look at the long-term goals. If necessary, make the short-term sacrifices. It's looking at the collective. Even as individual dignity, individual freedom are respected and valued, it is establishing the link between my life and the society. There is a give and take in society. If each of us behaves irresponsibly, recklessly, without thinking of the future, we all destroy each other. Leadership is about reconciling the limited resources with unlimited wants. Somebody said, limited resources we have. There are unlimited goals. Any country, any family, however rich you are, you have so many dreams. Leadership is about reconciling these two. Leadership is about reconciling the differences and ideas and viewpoints and backgrounds and philosophies and thinking, and making all of us look at some things together, work together, have the same dream, same goal, work in concept, not at cross purposes. Leadership is about looking at the long term, not merely focusing on now, this moment. Short term is required. We have to survive today. No doubt about it. But our survival today should not be at the cost of tomorrow, because if we take away everything, your generation will suffer. Many political parties, for the sake of the vote, they want to give today's freebies, which is necessary on occasion. When you are desperate, you need some help. But if that is at the cost of tomorrow's well-being, your children's well-being, the intergenerational equity is disturbed. That means my generation is taking everything at the cost of your generation. That's not fair. That's what India is about. Any human society is about protecting the future of the children. In India, it's particularly true because in India, the parents, no matter which caste, which region, which language, which religion you belong to, the parents live for their children. They sacrifice for their children. When they have limited money or limited food or whatever, they will give up their desires, but they want to fulfill their children's desires. That is the greatness of our culture. In such a culture, for short-term political gains, you cannot mortgage the future of our children. While we must take care of the immediate needs, we must also build a better tomorrow by sacrificing a little bit. Leadership is that inspires us to do that. We've had great leadership in this country, not merely in politics. Don't merely think of politics as leadership. There are good people in politics. Pratap Singh Khairan in Punjab, undivided Punjab, early days of independence. He was the leader who really promoted prosperity in Punjab. Or you take Shanta Kumar or Parmar of Himachal Pradesh, one of the most difficult states, hilly terrain. They produced remarkable results with people's cooperation. Or take somebody like C. Subramaniam. As a union minister with his officials and others, in a few short years, he brought about the Green Revolution in this country. One of the most successful efforts in India's history, post-independence. Take somebody like Bhairav Shekhawat, Rajasthan, one of the most backward states, within a short span, relatively about 10 years' time or 15 years' time, he and his team brought Rajasthan above that Bimaru status, as they used to call. Take Orissa, Naveen Patnaik, one of the most backward states of India, one of the poorest states of India, is now doing well in many respects. Population, I told you. It's a matter of pride that Orissa is now, it's very close to population stabilization. Fertility rate is about 1.6 or so. So I can go on. Jalaga Bengalrao from the undivided Andhra Pradesh in 70s, a man with foresight and vision. So I can go on and on. There are many people, but there are many outside politics. Leadership is not the private prerogative of those in politics and power. It's about ideas. It's about influence. It's about thinking. It's about showing us a path. It's about innovation. A man like Dr. Varghese Kurian, he showed what collectives as cooperatives we outside government can accomplish with enlightened self-interest. And as a result, he transformed the lives of millions of farmers, dairy farmers in the country, made India a leader in the dairy sector. Take many other scientists, entrepreneurs, thinkers, philosophers. In every walk of life, we have extraordinary people. The challenge today is how do you make these extraordinary people, leaders like you, arise? How do you create a condition where their talents are utilized? Not somebody's son or daughter, not because you have the most money to spend, or you have the muscle power, or you belong to a certain caste, or you have the blessings of some powerful leaders. No, but the people with good heart, good mind, a passion and compassion, a deep commitment to change in the country, and good ideas. They must be allowed to rise through ethical and rational means for our collective sakes. If somebody truly able, public-spirited, rises in leadership in any walk of life, everybody else benefits. We are the beneficiaries. Therefore, we must not be jealous or envious of people whose ideas take them to the top. Actually, we must create a condition where such people rise to the top. You must not look at their caste, region, religion, or background. You must look at what they accomplish. And lastly, leadership, as I said, is not about what position you occupy. It's about what accomplishments you made possible. What were the true achievements in terms of outcomes in transforming lives? That's why we always admire Mahatma Gandhi. a Nelson Mandela, an Abraham Lincoln. Gandhiji never occupied any position of power. He was not a rich man. Mandela suffered 27 years in jail. And after one term, he said, I will no longer continue as president. He gave the chance to the other people. Gandhiji was assassinated by his own religionists. Lincoln served as president only for 4 years and 3 months, but in the most crucial time in America. These people are remembered not because of the power they wielded, but because of the influence they had on their societies during their lifetime and subsequently. The inspiration they gave us, the remarkable transformation they were instrumental in bringing about in societies. That is true leadership, not political power. It's about ideas, it's about influence, it's about impact, it's about transformation. You're all brilliant young people. You're deeply committed to this country and our society. You're also looking at the mankind as a whole. I was deeply influenced by what you were saying about environment and many other things. You're thoughtful. I congratulate you. You're all leaders. You're all winners. But I appeal to you, if you want to lead, you have to learn. You have to listen. You have to be very, very rational. Your conclusions must be based on evidence and logic. You must come up with innovative solutions. You must know how to communicate those solutions. Sometimes the road is long and hard. Sometimes things happen very quickly. But not all times do things happen very fast. Sometimes people take time to embrace even sensible, obvious ideas. But you must persevere because the stakes are worth it. Lives of millions of people, their future depend on the kind of leadership that we provide today in various walks of life. I'm sure all of you will have fulfilled lives. Take care of your personal lives with dignity, with honesty, and take care of the collective good. They must go together. One cannot be at the cost of the other. If you ignore personal lives completely, you will not have the stamina, the ability to actually do service to humanity, to the collective. Both go together. Let me repeat, one is not at the cost of the other. I'm sure you'll have very fulfilled, happy personal lives, and you will have an incredibly important leadership role to play to make a difference to people all around you in every walk of life. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your detailed suggestions and guidance to the youth we have on the platform. It's really very clear to all of them because in their perception level, so they would have something in the mind, but yeah, you're really explaining in a well manner to understand everybody. Thank you so much for that. And Kaumudi madam, you can go ahead and then we can take questions to both of you from the nominees and participants.
Sir, I'm really awestruck like every time when I hear you. I mean, wow. And again, same feeling. Thank you so much for that inspiring speech, JP sir. So yeah, and coming to the participants, so I must congratulate you for taking up this particular topic and coming forward with your ideas and trying to explain them, with your own solutions. As sir covered most of it, actually, I want to take up only one particular aspect here. So when I was going through the questions here, I was thinking that me as a person, as Kaumudi, or you as Prajwalita, you as Bhaskar, what kind of a solution you would bring in your own capacity, thinking you yourself as a leader, right? As sir said, we don't need to have power, and we don't need to be a policy maker or a politician or anything to make a change, right? So in my surroundings, in the place I am living, in my community, in my colony, or wherever, in my school and my organization, right? What kind of changes that I bring, at least I can try in my own personal capacity, and how I can get people along, with my ideas, and how can I can collect people and then make a team and then take my ideas forward. So I was actually, let us think in that way. So we can think about, policy has to change and government has to do this, they have to do this, prime minister has to do this. But this is where I believe, each one of us should think like a leader, and each one of us need to have that, a commitment towards what we believe, and we should be part of solutions, and each one of us should work towards that solution in our individual capacity. And if possible, we have to connect more people as we move along. So this is the only suggestion that I have. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for your wonderful, because already most of the points were covered by JP sir, and you are adding some more to that. Yeah. And yes, and I want to ask one question to you, madam, because I know we have the people, like, everybody have the children. So you are already working on the particular topic, I can say bullying, children's bullying. So there you can suggest these people and guide them to stop where we can prevent.
Okay. So I don't know how much it is relevant here. Do you think I should be taking it up, Suresh Garu?
Yeah, what I'm saying, because leader means it is not as we all are talking about, as what we are. Yeah, he has to work because he has to know every point, right? He has to work with everybody. Yes. That's the reason I am just.
Yes, because because I was just concerned, there are no parents here, there are no teachers here. So I was just thinking how much it is relevant. But so when, bullying, we need to understand that it is a pattern of behavior. It is not one isolated incident. And when basically bullying is happening, right, children who bully, they come from a perceived higher social status or position of power, such as, children who are bigger or stronger are perceived to be popular. So if we know a child is bullying others, there is one important thing that we need to remember, that children are not inherently bad. They just want to fit in, or they need attention, or they're just simply figuring out how to deal with complicated emotions. Or there is another possibility, they themselves are becoming victims or witnessing violence at home or in their community. That is very, very important aspect that we need to keep in our mind. And we need to understand that children who bully, they model the behavior that they see in their home or in their school or around them. So we first need to examine ourselves before, we teach children about, about these things. We need to examine ourselves, and we have to become good role models. So we as parents, we may be parents, teachers, siblings, elders, older siblings, our childcare providers, or whoever, we are working with children, then we need to show them how to be compassionate, how to basically talk to other people, treat other children, other adults, with kindness and respect. So that is how children will learn, right? So also this should include, speaking up when others are being mistreated. It is not only about not disrespecting others, but if someone else is disrespecting someone else, how we are speaking up and how we are supporting the victims, right? So, and we also need to watch out a few things, in our behavior. So, about the children, are they being exposed physically or emotionally, harmful behavior from us or any other child caregiver, right? So we need to look inward, basically, very honestly, and think about it, how we are presenting ourselves to the children. So this is the first thing I wanted to say. And then if we want basically, bullying to reduce, we need to communicate with the children. We need to make them aware of, what it is, and how and what the children are going through in their lives. What is their life, or what is their world, what kind of movies they're watching, what kind of friends they're mingling with, right? What kind of TV shows they're watching, and then what kind of games they're playing, and how are they behaving in the school, at home, etc. And then what is happening around with them. So, and we need to understand this and then communicate and explain, about bullying and then the consequences. And then if children are not able to communicate, or we are not able to communicate this properly, we can take help from counselors, social workers, or even mental health care professionals who is basically trained to work with children. So yeah, this is about dealing with children who are bullied. So who are being bullied? If we think a child is being bullied or is a potential victim, so what we can do is basically we need to try to build confidence in them. We need to work on their self-confidence levels and also make them understand how these things happen, how to speak up for themselves and things like that. And as I mentioned before, we also need to prepare them for speaking up for other children who are being victims. So yeah, I think I gave a few points, and there is one important thing that we can use. Some developed countries are using this particular strategy, like restorative justice. Instead of punishing, going for responding, reacting with punishment and stuff, these restorative practices, they focus on basically positive relationships, building positive relationships and collaborative teaching and learning, and then developing the classrooms as communities, right? So here teachers and students or even parents, they commit to looking at the positive alternatives to reactive solutions like punishment, as I said earlier. And then basically everybody here, they know that these matters are being dealt with in a more clear and explicit way, and things are being understood and endorsed by all the stakeholders. So here in India, we have an NGO called Enfold India. They are working with childcare institutions, schools, and juvenile homes, etc. They are taking this restorative justice practices to these spaces, so that instead of punitive measures, we can actually bring behavioral changes among children by more collaboration and understanding.
Thank you so much, madam. Taking and in the limited period, you have well explained really. Because why I ask this is like, yeah, it is not only the parents or teachers, because we will be having kids in our home. So where we can aware them. That is the reason I asked this thing. Yeah, thank you so much. And nominees and other participants, it is right time to you, because we have experts on platform. You can utilize this time where you can get right guidance, particularly if you have queries. So you can go ahead, anyone, if you have questions. Yes, Kiran Kumar.
Good afternoon. Good evening, sir. I would like to ask the questions to JP, sir.
Who is speaking?
Please go ahead. Who is asking?
JVS Bhaskar is speaking with you, sir. You are my inspiration. Sir, you are my inspiration, sir. A journey from an ordinary person to an extraordinary person. It was great indeed. Nobody can think of. They have seen your profile, sir, in the Google. So such a honorable person doing many things to the India selflessly. Can you please share your journey with us, sir? We will take your inspiration and would like to move forward as a civil servant like you, sir. And I want to become a civil servant like you. And can you please share your journey with us, sir, for a few minutes, if you don't mind, sir?
Bhaskar, there's no need to be autobiographical. That's quite unnecessary. But no, basically what happened in our generation compared to now is, though educational opportunities were not available to everybody because infrastructure was inadequate and all that, wherever the state was capable of doing, the society gave quality education to young people, no matter where they came from. I went to a village school, Telugu medium, a Panchayat Samiti school, Jilla Parishad school, the government schools. I never in my life felt that because I went to those schools in those days with very weak infrastructure, somehow I was handicapped. I never felt that way, because the society, the teachers, the local government that ran those schools, they took care of the students. They ensured that we got decent education. Today, 80% of the children, even though they go to schools, have no future. It is a make-believe education. It is the greatest sin we are committing, as I mentioned, and some of you mentioned before. I think Yashadpreet Singh, he spoke eloquently about educational failures in this country. So there is a huge need. There is so much of potential leadership in our country. As somebody said, we have so many strong qualities as a country. But if we don't allow our children's potential to be fulfilled, all these qualities will come to naught. China has remarkably progressed in about 25, 30 years' time from a status which is well below India's. 1970s, they were below India in many respects. But now they're 5 times bigger than us economically. They're undisputedly number 2 economic power, probably number 1 in terms of purchasing power parity. Technologically, in many fields, now they are the leaders in the world. India could easily do that too, but only if we do the right things. The most important to them is education, then infrastructure, healthcare, and rule of law. So we have a lot to learn from other societies and from our own past, and we have to make a huge difference possible. And we can do it. Anybody can do it. It's not rocket science. It's not something impossible. So I would like you to focus on the future rather than the past. We belong to the past generation. Let's focus on the future. I think I have Kiran Kumar and Ishat Preet. Who will take first?
So yeah, actually, I have a question to Nagaraju Garu. So since you were talking about bullying and stuff like that, I just want to know, is there any fine line between casual teasing and bullying? So if so, when does casual teasing start getting into the line of bullying? I just want both of your answers for this question. Yeah, please go on further.
Yeah, Kaumudi madam, are you there?
It's totally fine.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry. Can you please go ahead again?
Yeah.
So just wanted to know that if there is a fine line between casual teasing and bullying, when this casual teasing starts to come into the category of bullying?
So casual teasing, we may think it is casual teasing. So who has to decide it is casual teasing, right? So the person who is actually facing, who is victim here, we have to think about what they are feeling. So if they don't feel it as casual teasing, then we should stop. That is the line. That's it.
Great. Thank you.
I think Ishat Preet and Kiran are waiting. Ishat
Yes,
Preet.
Sir, I'm your follower, sir. I watch your videos on YouTube, and tonight I have watched the video of yours, sir. Google, you have given your speech on Google for 1.5 hours, sir. So I have a question, sir. We also have Madhav Reddy, sir, from Zero Budget Politics here, our messenger. And how we can? My question is, sir, how we can bring this zero budget politics from ground level to the permanent level? What are your views on zero budget politics, sir?
I will very briefly go into that because these are very complex subjects. You're asking essay questions. Every democracy has an evolution. Just because you have a beautiful constitution and you have the right to vote and the right to shout and protest, it doesn't mean that overnight it will become a great democracy. The great democracies, successful and mature democracies, took hundreds of years. Our problem is, while we have done well in some respects, we don't have the luxury of hundreds of years. Because the world is developing economically with extraordinary, breathless rapidity. During Industrial Revolution between 1760 and 1840, we call it a revolution, but the growth rate in Britain at the time was 1 to 2%. It was still a revolution because in a stagnant agrarian economy for thousands of years, you have an industrial economy which is actually generating growth irrespective of the weather, which was a miracle. Today, if a government gives us 2% growth rate, next day we'll throw them in the dustbin of history. Even 5-6% is poor for a country like ours. There is very rapid economic growth and much more rapid technological transformation. So the problem of India is, how do you accelerate the democratic evolution? How do you make our democracy work better? We don't have the luxury of hundreds of years like Britain and America had. There we floundered. Actually, we made things worse. But there's no reason to despair. The reason why There is so much of expenditure. When I say zero budget, what you mean is ethical politics, no illegitimate money, no vote buying. Vote buying is obviously a most visible and extremely dangerous and sad manifestation. There's a by-election going on now in Telangana and in Huzurabad. Each of the candidates for an assembly constituency, the major candidates, they're expected to spend about 40 to 50 crores at least. Ridiculous. Anywhere in the world, it's ridiculous. Vote buying. Then, not only that, the freebies. The political parties are recklessly offering everything free. Poor people need help, but without doing what the government has to do to make our lives better. Good infrastructure, rule of law, education of quality, healthcare of quality, etc. If you merely give short-term swaps, it gives you some relief from suffering today. It doesn't make your life better tomorrow. Poverty is perpetuated. It's a disaster. Most governments in India are falling prey to that. And the third, as somebody said, divisions. We're fomenting divisions, caste, region. We're a very complex society, diverse society. So to get the vote, it's easy to fashion vote banks through mobilizing people on basis of caste, religion, region, etc., making hate the other groups. There are reasons why these are happening. Political parties are not terrible creatures. They simply want power at any cost. If it's possible to get power through good means, they will do that. If they feel it's necessary to get power through bad means, they will adopt that also. So it's all about the incentives. There are three big answers to your question. As I said, there's no time to go into detail. They're very complex themes. The first is there must be a greater understanding for the people, the link between the vote I give and the consequences that follow. What happens to my life? Not Bharat Mata, not some grand issues, but simple, practical day-to-day issues. Let me give a simple example. I'm now in the 5th floor apartment of mine in this complex. Suppose in the elevator, the lift does not function. I'm not going to keep quiet. I give a monthly maintenance fee, and we all voted for somebody to manage all these affairs. We'll tell them, look, we put you together to take care of all these things. We're paying you monthly maintenance fee for all these things, the lift to be maintained properly, the watch and ward, the parking, then the electricity within the compound, the water supply, etc. And if the lift doesn't function, it's not a theoretical thing, it's not Bharat Mata thing. I know where my money is going. I know what I want for that money. I know whom I have elected. I know why I have elected. What I expect in return. So if he is not good enough, I'll replace him. Or I'll take responsibilities myself. I'll push the system. That happens only when there is great decentralization with accountability. We create a very centralized government system without accountability. The second big answer is rule of law. If those in power, they feel that they're the servants of the people, if they abuse power, they'll be punished for sure. Then they'll be restrained. In India, if you're in power, you're a monarch. You're elected through the vote, but ultimately you elected the Raja of the constituency or the state or the nation. You can do pretty much what you like. The law can do nothing to you. There's no accountability because there's no rule of law. Supposing you're a genuine rule of law, there again, it's a very complex thing in itself. But if you have actually effective rule of law, no matter how high and mighty you are, you can be held to account. Then power as property will be replaced by power as service. In sane societies, the best people very reluctantly join politics. You have to persuade them and pressurize them. In India, even the most third-rate fellow, the moment you give an opportunity, he jumps at it because he thinks it's a personal virtue. It is a property. Because there's no rule of law, there's no accountability. The police and the law enforcement system, which should control you, is actually controlled by you once you're elected. Then everything else follows. The third thing is electoral system. In our electoral system, what we call the first past the post system, for our conditions, it's a disaster. We simply borrowed it from Britain because they had it. We didn't think through it carefully. There are alternatives where the incentives for the political party and the candidate, they change dramatically. They'll behave differently. They'll put up different kinds of candidates and they will reach out to the people in a different manner, not offering money. That will not help them. So change the electoral system to promote ethical politics. These three are at the heart of it. And of course, all this must go along with people's deeper understanding, better understanding of democracy. Now it's all a jamboree. It's a festival without any purpose, a sense of what is happening. Therefore, each time government changes, but nothing much changes in life. So we are all angry. And again, next election comes. Again, we vote with great fanfare. Again, the same disappointment. Next day onwards, they say, istifa de do. Vote and shout is not democracy. Democracy is much more.
Thank you very much, sir. And I have one more question, sir.
No, we will give a chance to others.
Yes.
Ishrat Preet, I think for quite some time he's waiting.
Yeah, Ishrat Preet Singh.
Good evening, sir. So, like one of my fellow nominees came up with an idea of including the essence of religious scriptures in school syllabus. But looking at present intolerance of many people to other religions, I'm concerned whether it can be implemented or not. Like, if you think it can be implemented, kindly tell me how can we do so?
You know, not as religion, Ishrat Preet, you're right. But as you know, we have one great advantage as a country. Sometimes we don't recognize our strengths. You know, while I mentioned to you some of our weaknesses, we must be proud of our genuine strengths. There is no country on earth which has so many written languages with their own literature, history, and tradition for hundreds of years, in some cases thousands of years, coexisting as one country. All of us belong to several parts of the country. The mother tongue we learned at home, in many cases, was different. And yet this country is able to live together harmoniously. It's a remarkable triumph of civilization. Sri Lanka, with just two languages, Sinhala and Tamil, for 30 years now, there has been tremendous violence and bloodshed. Only now they're slowly recovering. Pakistan, created along with us, broke up largely because of language and culture. The Bengali versus Punjabi language and culture. A country like Belgium, a tiny country, a rich country, they're not able to form a government after election for a year or two each time because there is a clash between two language groups, the Dutch speaking and the French speaking. I can go on and on. But see the ease with which we all live together. We never make language a big issue. The leadership also must be praised for that. We complain, we criticize them for the failures. But I think our Indian leadership has done a remarkable job in dealing with that diversity of language. Similarly, as a society and as a culture, we embrace all new religions and faiths and ideas and philosophies. That's very, if there is one thing great about India, it is this eclecticism, as they call it. Aap Musliman ho ya Sikh ho ya Isai ho ya Hindu ho. The other God also we put a namaste and say no problem. One more God. It's a good thing actually. So without doctrinaire religion, if we simply teach people the evolution of mankind, all of us came from one origin. You, me, others know whether you're tall, short, dark-skinned or light-skinned or Hindu or Muslim or Christian, doesn't matter what we are. We all came from East African Rift Valley. That's where our ancestors started, and they migrated to Asia, to Central Asia, to Europe, and later on through Central Asia and Siberia to Americas. We are all of the same stock. And there is an evolution of philosophy. Religion is merely a part of that. H.G. Wells says, religion is nothing but fetishism. What they try to establish a causal relationship, and ancient man did not understand the link between what he sees as a phenomenon and the cause, he doesn't understand. He invented some causes, some superstitions. Even today, many elderly people in India, whenever there's a thunder or lightning, you know what they say? Lord Arjuna's chariot's screw, that nut has fallen on earth. How ridiculous it is. But then actually many people believe that. You ask grandparents of many Hindu families. So religion in essence is about two things. One, trying to find ineffectually a relationship between cause and effect. As we understood it better, it became science. The second part is all religions did only one thing. They tried to establish a relationship between the individual and the collective, the society. Whatever be the religion, the precepts are basically in a large community, how do you coexist? How do you moderate your behavior? To that extent, if you make people understand without going to doctrinal differences and who is superior, who is inferior, the stupidity, I think it's a good thing. It's our heritage. If you belong to Sikh faith, Guru Nanak is part of our heritage. It does not matter whether I go to Gurudwara or you go to Gurudwara. And this country was home to every single faith from the very beginning. Judaism came here 2,600 years ago, coexisted here without any discrimination or persecution. Christianity came here through St. Thomas within 20 years after Jesus Christ's crucifixion. The Syrian Christians of Kerala and others, they continue to practice their faith peacefully and without any restriction. Islam came here within 2 or 3 decades after Prophet Muhammad's flight from Mecca to Medina through Arab merchants. And by 712, it came to Sindh. And since then, this is the only country where Islam and other religions could coexist on a large scale. And of course, indigenously, Sikh religion, your faith, or Buddhism, Jainism, various sects of Hinduism, they all rose in this country. So in that way, our society, even without great education, is intuitively capable of grasping all these, that all these are truths, various facets of truth. If that sense is communicated, I have no quarrel. But if you try to impart the sense of superiority, who is better, that's a very dangerous thing. So I understand your concern, but shutting away the reality also is not a good way, because then bad ideas can enter their minds later on. It's better that they actually get a good sense of what it is all about. But most of all, that we all come from the same stock. And not only India, Pakistan. Why is Pakistan our Dushman? Tell me. Politically, there may be differences. That will be sorted out eventually. But how is a person from Pakistan your enemy and my enemy? Tell me. I'm sure if you come from Punjab, there are your relations who are there who grew up in Pakistan, Rajendra, Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
How are your enemies just because somebody drew a line? China, how is your enemy? So we must not confuse between temporary national interests and political differences with hatred of people and hatred of civilizations. We must rise above that. Our nationalism must be all-encompassing, not dividing. So that kind of teaching, I'm all in favor.
Yeah, right. Thank you, sir.
Suresh, we'll conclude. We crossed 7 o'clock. Suresh?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I just, there was a connection. Okay.
Suresh, shall we conclude?
Yeah, yes, sir. We can conclude. Yes, if we have a final, then we can take, and otherwise we can conclude.
Let Kaumudi Garu have first say.
Yeah, actually, I just want to say something about safety, because that is what I was actually invited here for, and that is my area of interest as well. So yeah, can I take a few minutes with your permission, sir?
Yes, please.
Yes, yes. So basically, Suresh asked me why the crimes against women are increasing and what can be done, right? So I just wanted to leave a few questions here with the people, and basically you can ponder upon, and then you can come up with solutions and whatever you want to do with it. So basically, why it is increasing, there is no single answer. So in my opinion, there is this deeply rooted thought, which is part of our patriarchal culture, where men are superior to women and men should assert their dominance. That is the origin of this violence against women. And if we take our family system, we perpetuate the same thought process. And there is this deliberate segregation of boys and girls at home, and even in educational institutions right from childhood, and even textbooks are written in such a way, and teaching is being done in such a way, right? So the situation is improving, but at a snail's pace. And I was reading at, I was looking at some studies. So one study says that, this has been done by one UK university and one researcher from IIT Hyderabad. So the women who are basically going against the convention of hypergamy, where the idea that women seek to marry men of higher social stature, these kind of situations where women have higher, basically are being assertive, are earning more than their husbands, or have more decision-making power, their violence is more. This is basically, again, goes back to the patriarchal thought process, where men want to re-establish or exhibit their power and inferiority complex by overpowering girls. So this is a question that we have to think about, what we are doing at home and at education systems, right? And there is this proper lack of proper education, and I'm not talking about the girls' education here. I'm because even educated women, I know well educated and who is in a position of a vice president in an IT giant, she's been facing violence for many years now, and she's been silent. So it is not about girls' education only. It is about, I'm talking about the education young men need to get. Yeah. Our young men, they mature and develop in this male-dominated environment with little or no sex education at all. So this is leading, to misdirected masculinity, and which is characterized by male sexual dominance and unequal gender attitudes and behavior. So education and pieces of training are essential for both the genders to remove this particular barrier from society. And here, there are a few boards that are having some, gender curriculum about gender equality, but is it being really taught the way it has to be, or it is just another topic where children study for marks and forget? So while we are teaching our younger generations, are we working on this typical mindset and helping them accept the fact that women rights are human rights, and that today's women are equally liberated, especially financially and intellectually? Are we preparing boys and young men to accept this fact? Are we here, the participants, this small room, are we ready to accept that fact? Is a question that we need to think about. And then this media portrayal. So there are two things happening. Media portrayal, what it is supposed to do is they're not doing, and what they're not supposed to do, they're doing. They're actually repeatedly objectifying women, which is actually contributing to harmful gender stereotypes, and this is trivializing violence against girls and women. This is not supposed to be done, which they're doing. On the other hand, the news media, it is supposed to be playing a crucial, critical role in shaping the public opinion about this particular thing. But when they are covering this news, they tend to cover it as an event-based or episodic frame. So this particular depiction of violence against women as a series of disconnected random events is problematic, because audiences are more likely to attribute this individual blame rather than societal responsibility for the violence. So we think, okay, that particular person is responsible, that Sasuma is responsible, husband is responsible, but we are not actually in the mindset of accepting it as a societal responsibility. So the news reports are also uniformly missing out the opportunity to direct their audiences to sources of assistance, like there are she teams, there is Bharosa centers, or community resources like Margdarshaks and Sangamitras. Are there any support systems? They're just publishing that one episodic, framing incident, and then that's it. They are laying it at that point. So they are not utilizing their power basically to shape the public opinion. That is another thing. And some of those who enforce the laws, so or interpret them, they do not always fully share the philosophy of gender justice concept. So there are gaps in the way law enforcement departments perceive this particular thing. So I will actually share one incident. I was called for, I shared a stage with another lawyer, female lawyer, and she's working on women issues. And when it was her turn to speak, she said exactly this. Everywhere I'm hearing about equality. Yeah, we're all equal, but we are a little, men are a little superior to us. So that is why we have to understand that, and we have to follow them accordingly. So this is the mindset that we have, and if all the women there, they clapped. So this is the mindset that we have. So we have to basically, instead of always talking about government is not doing this or police is not doing this, what are we at our homes doing with our young people, the girls and boys at our homes, the children that we are raising, or the wife that I have, the sister that I have, what kind of thought process I have at home and my workplaces is a question that we each of us need to think about. Then only we all of us come together, then only this problem will be solved. Otherwise it is not going to happen. And I want to share one particular interesting insight here. So there is this gender gap survey that World Economic Forum does. So according to them, the global gender gap index, they actually consider 156 countries, and where India stands. Our rank is 140th among these 156 countries. So we are faring very poorly in all the key dimensions that they consider. So economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. So everywhere in all these aspects, we are faring very poorly, and especially in political empowerment, we are actually at the rock bottom. So we have each and every one of us have to think from from wherever we stand, wherever our hands and our minds go, right? And then we have to find solutions within our limitations, and then work towards eradicating this. So that is what I wanted to leave with you.
Thank you, Kaumudi. Yes, the final words can say. And
I'll just conclude briefly.
Yeah, please.
First of all, I want all the young people to realize there are so many problems and challenges facing us, but
yes,
you are remarkably fortunate. We live in the best of all possible worlds, in the best of all possible ages. I'm saying it with all the strength at my command. Because humankind today has enough resources, technology, and experience to be able to solve every single major problem confronting us today. From poverty and unemployment to global warming. 25 years ago, you could not have said this. But today, except your will and skill and quality leadership, there's nothing, no innovation. The world is on the verge of dramatic transformation as never before. What used to happen in 100 years, 1,000 years is now getting compressed in 5 years, 10 years. Now, those become leaders who actually understand the future and pave the way for it. If you're only looking at the past and reacting to that, you'll not become leaders. Take energy sector. There's going to be such transformation in the next 25 or 30 years that we cannot even contemplate. The fossil fuels will be a thing of the past. Your coal and your oil and gas will be a thing of the past very soon during your lifetimes. Spectacular transformation is taking place. That gives us immense opportunities, also creates new challenges. There's no time to go into detail. Leadership is understanding, anticipating, preparing, adapting, and collectively preparing the society and working towards the change. So be optimistic. Just because some things are not as good as they should be, doesn't mean that they'll always remain that way. I mean, how long did it take for the mobile phones to go around? You guys, you were born recently. You don't even realize, not too long ago, many of us did not have a telephone. In all of India, there were only 7 million telephones. To get a telephone was excruciatingly difficult. It never worked when we got the telephone. The bills were very high. Today, you have 1 billion telephones. We have as good a service as anywhere in the world at the lowest cost in the world. Just to give an example. Modern technology gave us fantastic opportunities to leapfrog. do things much faster and better on a bigger scale. Take advantage of them. A nation that does not do it, a society that does not do it, will continue to flounder. China was nothing, nowhere 30, 40 years ago. China is now in the forefront in almost every sector. It happened in front of my generation's eyes. You're born somewhere in between. It's possible as never before. But if you don't also adapt ourselves to new ways of thinking, that's where Ms. Kaumudi is very right. Take gender stereotypes. Because we just don't think through. Whatever is given to us for generations, we accept it as norm. Like caste, for instance, or gender inequality. These are all stupid notions. They make us unhappy, they make others miserable. You take India, for instance, one of the reasons why India is dramatically low in gender equity is the women's participation in workforce is actually declining in India. The only significant country in the world where in the past 15, 20 years, women's participation in workforce has come down considerably. Even Saudi Arabia is seeing increase. Pakistan is better than us. Bangladesh is much better than us. It need not be that. That means we must adapt to the new conditions. We must forget the gender stereotypes, not only for the society and nation, but for ourselves, for our happiness. So think deeply. Don't indulge in shibboleths and slogans. Arrive at rational conclusions after seeing the evidence and after thinking through carefully. Then learn to communicate effectively and come up with sensible solutions. You will be very effective leaders of the future, but always prepare for the future, not overthink the past. While you must understand the foundations of the past, you must understand the future even better. I wish you all the very best. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You are absolutely right. So today, the generation who are the current generation, whatever, if you are not in the race, because nowadays the money is not a matter, the time, every second, every minute is very much important, because when we work on, as I'm working in a corporate sector, I know that every minute, if we lost one order, if we are not able to deliver one service to the customer, how it will impact complete. So it will impact our personal, means as a role what you are doing in a company, and also it will impact the company business. So that is the reason. The leader means, as you said correctly, sir. So it is not the politicians or whatever it is. Wherever you are working, so you can be take the leadership. That's a chance you have to take up. Then you can lead the people and whatever the work you are doing. So you have to take the ownership. That is the main we have to think on it. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And yes, everybody's they are waiting actually. The results, like, because we have taken this award nominations also for this. As after listening to you all, I'm very happy, and I would like to congratulate. And I want to tell one thing which you are nowhere expected. I would like to give award this to every 9 of you, all 9 of you, because you really came across detailed analysis. You worked on the ground level, because they went through many tasks. I can say they communicated with ground level people who are really waiting for the resources, who are using the resources. So I'm very much happy to say this, and thank you so much, all nominees. I will definitely, all of you will receive this leadership award, all 9 of you, and very happy time we spent with our speakers, JP sir and Kaumudi madam. It's a great opportunity to interact with you both today. So this is all from my side. Yes, and finally I can say one word, as I said earlier. So leadership means today you may not be the leader. If you work as a leadership role, if you work in the leadership role, tomorrow your vision will create thousands of leaders. So work in the leadership mind, not as a role or some position, what JB sir said correctly. So this is all from my side.
Thank you. Okay. Goodbye, all of you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Kaumudi Garu, goodbye to you.
Goodbye.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagarva Bharath Foundation, sir, for making us more powerful.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a great opportunity meeting you, everyone over here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Sir, we want to thank you, sir, because knowing our vision and making us to work on ground level and putting our efforts on it. So, and I think we want few words from Madhav Reddy sir also, sir, here. I think Madhav Reddy sir with us.
Yeah, Madhav Reddy sir with us.
I want few words from Madhav Reddy sir.
We collaborated with Madhav Reddy sir actually. To get even JP sir onto the platform as we see today. So, sir, are you there?